I'm Dewey Boynton, and working with me again this year, Jeff Mattingly, the 1985 Masters champion, and Mike Ingraham, the bowling writer for the Tacoma News Tribune. Jeff, I know if you had your druthers, you'd be bowling in the Final Five today.
Oh, there's no doubt, Dewey. But I don't know. These guys, this is probably one of the toughest fields I've seen for a TV show here in the Masters. And I might kind of like watching this instead of bowling. I mean, always you'd like to be in the money, but I think this is going to be a pretty exciting show for the people.
Going to put you on the line right at the start. Pick a champion.
Got to go with Larry. I gotta believe Fulton. He's bowling real good right now. In the last month, he's probably bowled better than he has all year. He struggled early, but I think he's come on strong. He's bowling real well.
Larry Fulton, of course, the #1 seeded player in the Final Five. Mike Ingraham from the TNT. We have 3 past Masters champions. We have a 3-time PBA champion in Matt Surina. Who do you like today?
I still have to agree with Jeff. I like Larry. He's got the experience. He'll be shooting for his 3rd title. There's only 2 of them that have ever done that. One game, I'd have to go with Larry.
You have something at stake here because you've picked the last 2 years, you've picked the winner ahead of time.
That's true. See if 3rd time's a charm.
Well, we'll find out. As a matter of fact, our first match of the day coming up right after this. And we are ready for our first match of the day. As you can see, it'll be Matt Surina, who qualified 5th last year, going up against Ken Darwin. Ken in his first ever Masters appearance today. We should tell you right off the top that our 3rd qualifier today was Bob Davidson, Bob Bjorke qualifying #2, and Larry Fulton, a 2-time Masters champion, the top qualifier, and he will be in the championship match today. Up first on the screen, Matt Surina. Interesting, Jeff, that Matt is in exactly the same place he was last year, the #5 qualifier.
Yeah, I'm sure he's hoping to improve his situation from last year because he didn't fare too well.
And we're officially underway.
That's a really good shot.
That's a good way to start things out. A strike for Matt Surina.
You know, Matt obviously should have a little bit of edge on Ken Darwin just because of his experience on national TV. And it was just wins on the PBA Tour. And I'm sure Ken's got to be feeling that he's going to have to bowl real well to beat Matt.
Ooh, 10 pin. Now that's what plagued everybody last year. There were 10 pins the entire day on the tournament last year, and we're starting out with that again today.
Yeah, it seems that the condition looks like the ball goes down the lane a long way and then finishes real hard on the back. So if it gets down just a little too far, it just finishes a little bit behind the head pin. And you might see quite a few of those today. It'll be, I think, the guy that can make his spares because there'll be plenty of strikes in there.
And Ken Darwin covers the 10 pin, so he's up. You know, we talk about this every year, and this year, really, Ken is the only one it directly affects since everybody else has been a winner, and I'm sure been on television before, but the lights and the crowd and, you know, having to wait around for everything to be just right, has to have a little psychological effect, I would think, on Ken.
Oh, I'm sure it does, but I know Ken knows he's having a good year. He's been bowling well everywhere, and he's a darn good bowler. He's real solid, his game's solid. I don't, he'll be pumped up and ready to go.
All right. That would go a long way towards helping him out. A strike in the 2nd frame for Ken Darwin. And up comes 3-time PBA tournament winner on the national scene, Matt Surina. Matt's been bowling for 24 years. And he's had a lot of tournament experience, a lot of championship experience, both on the national and the regional and the local level as well. And he's working on a strike in the 1st frame.
You know, Matt definitely wants to get out a little early on this one because he knows that Ken's probably the weakest of the opponents because everybody else has won. And if he figures he can get out to an early lead, he'll be more to his benefit. Another fine shot by Matt.
Right in the pocket, a double for Matt Surina. And we always talk about this and always ask this question, and I guess it depends on the bowler and the lane conditions, but is it an advantage to come in at #1, or is Matt going to have the advantage warming up with a couple of matches if he were to work his way through, or Ken, either one?
I think it depends on break lane. There's only Bob Davidson. There's only going to be 2 guys on the left side, so I don't think the lanes are going to change. If Larry can come in and pretty much play his normal shot, I still give the advantage to Larry in that one-game match.
And there it is again.
Matt's looking real strong. One thing I'll give Matt credit for, he's always experimenting, always practicing. The man never seems to cease to try something new or to keep working on his game at all times, and that's real important. A lot of us, including myself, you kind of get out of that practice stage, but Matt hasn't. He's in there all the time practicing. That's pretty close for Ken.
Well, there you go.
One thing about it, all these guys have all shot champions. They've all been in the pressure situations, and Kenny's made the All-Star team several times in Seattle, and I know he's up for this one.
You mentioned that Matt is always experimenting. That's kind of interesting. Does that help? There are times, right in the middle of a game when you have to kind of experiment, because what you were shooting earlier, they were doing their final qualifying games on different alleys. So they come up here now, another strike for Ken Darwin. So a little, if you're used to experimenting, then you have 2 or 3 different things you can do.
If the lanes start breaking down to any extent, Matt's not going to be afraid to change something, because he knows that's his game. He likes to experiment. He's not afraid to move. Whereas somebody like Ken or maybe one of the other guys, they feel more comfortable staying in the same place. They might sit there and fight it a lot longer than Matt might.
So here we are. Ken Darwin opened with a spare and 3 strikes. Matt Surina working on a 3-bagger.
Bad break for Matthew there. He got a little too much. It looked to me like he got a little too much spin on that, because the ball didn't finish at all on the back end. It had the same basic rotation, but the ball just didn't finish to go through the pins to drive the 5 into the 8. Instead, he just cut it back, and the 5 just chopped right straight off the 8 to leave the 8.
That's basically one of those leaves, though there really isn't a lot of an explanation for it. Could have just as easily been a strike.
Oh, very easily. It's it's so close that you really can't say one way or the other.
If you remember back to last year's Masters, Ken Langholtz will remember an 8-pin. It cost him a chance. And Matt Surina covers.
One thing about Matt, he looks like the power type player, and they say the power type player isn't a good spare shooter. But Matthew, he knows how to play the lanes, and he's got so much experience, and he is a real good spare shooter. So it's going to be the guy that throws the most strikes in this first match, because they both look real strong.
Close to the pocket, right in the pocket all the time so far. Looks like he's got a little light.
But that's the kind of ball Matt throws. That's his higher percentage. When he hits the pocket real solid, he does have a tendency to leave 10 pins because of the rotation on his ball. But when he's light, he's got a real good percentage for it.
Well, we've had some good scores. We've had some 300 games, and look for some high scores today.
Oh, yeah. Well, Ken Darwin himself had a 299 during this tournament. That's close.
Oh, there's that 10-pin you were talking about.
Yeah, he got a little wiggle on it, but it just like the 6-pin just went off into the right channel there and died instead of bouncing out and kicking the 10. Well, it just doesn't quite make the good snap at the back end usually when you leave those 10 pins.
Talking about high scores during the earlier qualifying, Ken had a 224 average. And he kicks out the 10-pin there.
That could probably be with the toughest pin for the right-hand side today is that 10-pin, because the back ends do snap pretty good, and if they don't get it out quite right, it will take off on them.
Through 4 frames, Ken Darwin at 99 on a spare. Matt Surina was 73 in the 4th on a spare, or on a strike, working on a strike in the 5th. Whoops, now we're getting a correction on that. Ooh.
Yeah, that was a tough shot for Kenny. He stood up right at the line and pulled everything up on that shot, and consequently when you stand up and pull up, you really yank the ball across.
There is hope for us yet. Jeff, the automatic score made a mistake. A human had to come in and correct it. Matt Surina has 99 through the fourth as well. Ooh, just misses the 7th pin. So there's the first break of the game.
Yeah, that's going to, I think if there's even going to be any big breaks, it'll be that, because there is a tendency for the ball to take off and jump through the nose. And I think if somebody slows up enough, to me, watching today, it looks like a speed game. The guy that controls the speed of his ball the best is going to end up on top most of the time, because the guy that has a tendency to slow up a little bit is going to have the ball jump through the nose, and we might see a few splits that way.
So here's Matt Surina working on a strike, hoping to capitalize on the open by Ken Darwin.
Look out.
And, ooh, that was a little tight.
Yeah, he got that one just in just a little bit. And he finished pretty strong. He was lucky to kick the 4 out and not leave the 4-9 split.
Find out here if Matt completes this spare. That will. Okay, that's going to give him a lead now over Ken Darwin in the first break of the game. So far, so I was reading where Matt, one of his hobbies is dancing. So if he runs a string out today, we can maybe expect him to dance down the lanes a little bit, yeah.
Being on tour with him a few times, I've seen him in action. He gets a little wild on the dance floor. I may not know it to look at him, but he is pretty wild.
Just a wild and crazy guy. You get him out the bowling alley. Okay, well.
He's wild and crazy in the bowling alley.
Looking for a strike in the 7th frame.
It looks pretty close. A
little light hit. That's the ones he likes, and he converts a strike.
That's one of Matt's best percentage shots. Those are the light ones.
Our telecast being brought to you in part today by Bolero Lanes. They have bowling for everyone. Pot of Gold Bowling features every Friday and Saturday nights at 9:30. Senior Citizens Fun Day with prizes and refreshments is featured each month. One Friday a month is Ladies Fun Day with bowling, snacks, and prizes. Celebrate the new year at our New Year's Eve party, complete with a magnificent buffet dinner. You can call for reservations at 584-0212. Bolero Lanes. Ken Darwin comes back with a strike in the 7th frame.
You know, Kenny knows he's been in this spot before. He knows he's got to start striking because Matt's not going to let up. So he knows he's going to have to string a few to put the pressure back on Matt. He's only down by 14 at the moment, and he could cut that down to 4 with a strike here.
Ken has been selected to participate on the Seattle All-Star team 3 times. Started bowling at the age of 7 up in Anchorage, Alaska, where they have a lot of time in the winter indoors to take up sports like bowling. There's another 10-pin for him. This on lane 21 this time.
Yeah, he was real light that time. That wasn't your typical 10-pin. He was just a light hit. He got a little extra speed on that one. I think it just didn't quite finish as strong.
And he converts. What's the difference, Jeff, between, you say Matt likes a light hit, gets a lot of strikes that way. Ken gets a light hit and leaves a 10-pin.
Okay, Matt has more of the spin to the ball than Ken does. Ken is more of a heavier roll, and then the spin action that the pins does on the light hit rattle him around a lot better than the heavy roll that Ken's throwing right now. And so it gives him a better chance for pin action off the wall and stuff for a strike.
145 through the 7th for Ken Darwin. Matt Surina 139 in the 6th on a strike. So a double here will help him stretch out his lead.
Yeah, Matt knows if he gets this one, he's pretty well in control of the match here. And it's pretty close.
He's got it. There it is. Boy, he's got that locked in on the pocket.
Could be the hammer right there. It could be the hammer right there.
Yeah. All right. Coming into the 9th frame, this, of course, is setup frame to roll out in the 10th, so he'd like to set up with a strike. I'd give him 3 in a row.
Oh, you bet. This is pretty much a lockout type shot right here. Matt's right now going at a 220, and the most Ken Darwin can shoot is 220. So if Matt strikes here, he'd be in the 230 bracket and pretty well shut Kenny out.
And as you can see, Matt with a 24-pin lead. as he steps up for the 9th frame. Very deliberate. A little high, but he carries it.
It was still a good shot. Just snapped a little quick. That's a pretty much on. But if you'll notice it, the little high like that, if both boys are using the hard surface bowling balls, so you know the lanes are hooking more than they normally would. Otherwise, they wouldn't be using the harder surface balls. And so if you let up a little bit, it will take off on you.
Pretty much do or die here for Ken.
It is. Ken knows he has to have them all now and hope for something disastrous from that.
All right, so that's a strike in the 9th frame for Ken Darwin. He'll need 3 more now to put any kind of pressure on Matt Surina.
Yeah, because the most Ken he can have is 225, and even with an open, Matt has to have some bad count on the first shot in order for him to lose the match. Because even like just an 8-count split, he's going to end up with about 225 himself with an open. So he needs bad count, and Ken needs them all.
And Ken Darwin gets another one. Looks like he's locking in on the pocket now. The question is whether or not it's too late. So first strike in the first frame. First strike in the 10th frame for Ken. He's had a 300 game before. A high series of 791. And this is his first time, as I mentioned, as a finalist in the Tacoma Masters. Hear that thumb pop out of there? Crosses over,
yeah.
But not enough.
He stood up again and pulled that one again. He knew he needed it, and he just slowed up a little and stood up.
Our telecast also being brought to you today by Daffodil Bowl at 1624 East Main in Puyallup, a beautiful 24-lane center with a family restaurant and lounge, also featuring a card room, now open 7 days a week from 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. Join our New Year's Eve party with live music, buffet-style dinner, moonlight bowling, hats, horns, noisemakers, and all the trimmings as well. You must have had some of the planning in that yourself, Jeff.
Well, we're working on it real hard. We've changed ownership, so we're working real hard at it now.
That's Daffodil Bowl at 1624 East Main, where Jeff Mattingly hangs out in his spare time and gets paid for it, which is a pretty darn good deal, I think.
That's not bad. I'll take that.
So Ken Darwin has a 214, which isn't a bad game, but it's not going to be enough.
Yeah, not at all. That's a good game when you consider the pressure and everything that's involved there. Like I say, Matt's just, he's been there so many times that he's under the same pressure, but he just has learned to handle it a little better, I think.
And it looks like Matt Surina's locked into the pocket, so we may see him. He's going to be tough competition.
Yeah, you figured he'd be in the running anyway with his experience. But like I say, there's some tough bowlers to go yet.
Mm-hmm. Everybody from here on out is a Masters winner, past Masters championship winner, so he's going to have a tough climb up.
Yeah, they've all been here before, so they're not going to be any runovers, I'm sure.
So with 1 strike up in the 10th, Matt Surina running the string, and looks like he's going to run it out in a brief amount of time with 3 strikes. There's the second one.
Yeah, one thing Matt's doing now, he wants to keep his line, so he's working hard every shot, even though he's got the match won, because the more strikes he gets, obviously plays on the mind of his opponents to come to.
Yeah, well, I imagine so. You're standing by watching this. If you're Bob Davidson is up next, and you're saying, gee, he's locked in on the pocket today.
Well, Bob's got to be figuring it's going to take 230 or 40 for him to have a chance, and he knows it's a makeable game, but under pressure things are always different.
And this is just running the count now. And he wraps it up. Not a bad finish. 6 straight strikes for Matt Surina in a 259 game. And Mike Ingraham, I think you were right when you said that coming up there in Matt was on a strike in the 7th frame, and that strike in the 8th, you said that might be in the hammer that closed the door, and that was it.
Yeah, that was a strike he needed when he got that one. It looked like he was really in command at that point.
So the winner of our first match this afternoon, Matt Surina. He's up next in our second match will be Bob Davidson, the 3rd qualifier for the Masters Championship. And we'll be back to see if Matt Surina holds on to his hot hand right after this.
Yeah,
After this joyride, I'm out of the crash dummy business for good.
But Vince, it's a great job. Heck, they'd have to pry me away from it.
Anybody home? Larry, they do pry you away from it.
Oh, yeah.
For years, I've been eating steering wheels. For what?
To prove how safety belts save lives.
But thousands die every year in car accidents because they don't buckle up.
Vince, we're dummies. We don't wear safety belts.
Larry, you really know how to hurt a guy. Hit it! Yeah! That's it. I'm history. End of the road.
You can't quit, Vince. No crash dummy takes out a utility pole like you do.
Larry, for years I've been proving how safety belts save lives, but nobody's listening.
Sure they are.
Yeah, that's why thousands die in car accidents every year. I feel like I'm banging my head against the wall.
Come on, Vince. Tomorrow's the big day. 2 compacts. Head on.
High speed?
Could save a life.
No, I'll be there.
Yeah.
Most people couldn't live like this.
You could learn a lot from a dummy. Buckle your safety belt.
So, Matt Surina winning 259 to 214 over Ken Darwin on our first match. And match number 2, Matt moves on to face the number 3 qualifier, Bob Davidson. And there you see Bob in his striped shirt. Tell you, they all dress for television now, don't they, Jeff?
Oh, well, you bet. Angle's got that gimmick down pretty good. They all like those shirts.
By the way, Bob is the 1982 Masters champion, so he's been here before. Our first left-hander of the day.
Bob has a tendency to speed up, and which usually makes him end up pulling the ball through the nose like he did that time. If he's going to run into any trouble, it's because he doesn't keep himself slowed down.
Well, as you said earlier, you thought that the person who controlled their speed the best would have the best chance at winning.
And I still believe so. And right now, Matt's kind of locked in, and with with all the experience and stuff, I don't see him faltering too much. Bob's going to have to beat him.
Mm-hmm. And of course, Matt has the first game out of the way, so any jitters and nervousness that might have been there should be pretty much over with by now. He's just concentrating on doing the fundamentals.
That's basically it. He just wants to make sure he does everything right. It's pretty close.
Oh, there's that 10-pin. But he wasn't leaving the first game.
Right. It's a lot of that is speed. Also, he knows he's going to be slow from sitting down for a little bit, so he might have amped it up a little, and just got a little too much juice on it to kick the 10 out. It just got the 6 up and around instead of off the wall.
The other thing is, we could probably be screaming right now, and Matt wouldn't hear us. He wears earplugs while he's bowling.
Yeah, he started that out on the national tour. He's pretty funny about that, but it seems to help him.
It's kind of like my wife. She wears earplugs, too. I've always wondered about that. But anyway, Matt picks up the 10-pin.
Right. Matt was into like hypnosis and stuff like that to help his concentration while he was out on the national tour, and that's just another one of the things that he feels helps him eliminate the outside noises that might distract him.
All right. Is he still into that?
No, I don't think he's been doing it at all lately, but I know when he was on tour, he used to go because just like that last shot, 10 pins used to get him frustrated, and he did that for concentration and to relax a little.
Ooh, a little high.
Yeah, he got that one way to the right of what he wanted to hit, and the ball took off. That just goes to show you how much the lanes are hooking. If they get the ball outside the 5 or the first arrow, the 5 board or first arrow, the ball seems to take off real quick. So they're all trying to stay between that 5 and 10 board area and get the ball down the lane.
Just goes to show you again, though, Jeff, how things can change. I mean, he was locked in on the pocket that first match, and here, well, the first frame he was pretty close, but this time he's high. It looks like he's maybe that little bit of weight in between games.
Yeah, that does have a tendency to do it once in a while. Anytime you sit down and you have a tendency to stiffen up, so I don't think it'll affect him too many frames. It'll take 1 or 2 frames to loosen back up, and then I think he'll be right back in there.
Now, if you're Bob Davidson, you're thinking, well, all right, here's my chance. I better get started right now.
Yeah, he knows he's got a chance again now because he figured Matt would probably start off pretty strong.
And he's over on the Brooklyn side. And picks up 8. So on a spare, that'll give him 18. 4-7 is left. Bob looks quite a bit different than he did when he won in '82, Jeff.
That he does. looks like right now, the first couple of shots, Bob's really forcing them. I wouldn't think he'd be that nervous, but it's possible he is. But it seems like he is forcing the ball quite a bit. Anytime you really try to muscle the ball or force the ball, 9 out of 10 times you'll end up pulling it.
It's one of the great things about bowling. I know we mentioned this a lot on the telecast, but it really is a great equalizer as compared to other sports. I mean, Bob won the Masters at the age of 19. Here he is. He's only 23 years old, and he's already in his 4th finals. And that's something that doesn't happen in a lot of sports.
No, that's true. There he comes. Looked like he moved farther out on the lane on that last shot than he was on the previous ones.
So with a strike in the third, Bob Davidson sits down, and Matt Surina, working on 2 spares, comes up in the third and tries to find that magic touch that he had the first game and really locked into the pocket. It's a pretty good shot. There it is. Yeah. Kicks out the 10-pin that time. So there's his strike in the third frame.
That ball had a little more on it like it did last game. See, that one shot in the first and the 10th, he looked like he didn't throw it quite the same, and I'm sure it was just from sitting down for that couple extra minutes. One thing about Matt, though, he's real deliberate and precise. He doesn't let too many things alter his game plan. He's always thinking.
Look at his ball right there. What's the hole, that big hole on the bottom?
Okay, there's different ways. That's an axis weight hole that I believe on this ball. They call it flop weight. It makes the ball go down the lane farther before it turns over toward the pocket. And I got a little cough in his step there. I can't believe you heard that with his earplugs in.
I can't either. Maybe his earplugs are like my wife's. They only seem to hear what they want to hear.
That's true.
Ooh, and he kicks out the 7-pin.
Yeah, most of his strikes were light on that left lane in the earlier match, too. That one just didn't seem to get quite up there. I think he made an adjustment off that high shot before when he went through the nose, and he really didn't need to make the adjustment. He just threw a bad shot, and he figured that he threw the ball fairly decent, that they might have broke down just a shade, and he made a move, and I don't think he had to do that.
And Matt Surina covers the 2-pin. Our telecast being brought to you today in part by Narrows Plaza Bowl in Tacoma. They'll be a part of bowling history the first week in January when Narrows will host the Seagram's Cooler U.S. Open. This event is not only our national championship, but will also become the richest event ever in pro bowling with a purse of $500,000. Now, in addition to the opportunity of seeing all the world's best bowlers, you can bowl with them in the Pro-Am on January 3rd and 4th. So don't miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to be a part of this sports history. Call Narrows Plaza and we'll see you at the Open. You can give them a call at 565-1007. That's going to be a big event.
That is the premier event now in pro bowling right now. Everybody would like to get in for a part of that.
Bob Davidson converts a 6-pin and moves over to lane 21. Bob was 58 now in the third, working on a spare.
Yeah, he's only a pin down, and for the first few bad shots that he made, he's feeling probably pretty good about that. He'd like to get some strikes going, obviously, as would Matt. But he knows he's got a bonus here with Matt bowling as well as he did the first game, not coming out that strong.
Yeah, it looks like if anybody could string a couple together, they would definitely have the advantage. There's a strike for Bob Davidson in the 5th. That gives him 78 through 4. And Matt Surina, working on a spare, comes up for his 5th frame. Matt, of course, has also had 300 games before. Been on the Tacoma All-Star team. And there it is. There you go. A little shake and bake there.
Yeah, that's like I say, that's one of his favorite shots there because he carries so well.
You might have noticed a little bit of his dance floor expertise too, as he gave a little shake there. Get the pins mixing up a little bit. A little body English. One of Matt's favorite activities is watching pro wrestling. Does that say anything about him, Jeff? You know him pretty well.
Yeah, when he's in his pro shop, when there's no business, he's always got it on one of the channels where they've got that professional wrestling. He's into it pretty heavy. He goes to them every time they're in the Tacoma Dome and everything.
All right. Oh, right on the nose. And that's not what he was looking for.
No, he got that ball jumped as soon as he set it down the lane. He just got it a little right too quick. When he gets outside too fast, it jumps right off. He didn't get that good early skid pattern that was helping him out to get the ball wide. He just got it right of his target, and it took off too soon.
Well, the next question is, their final qualifying games were bowled on different lanes. These lanes have been sitting here, then with the lights on them, and then now having bowled one game. Are the lane conditions changing?
It's very possible. Anytime you got the television lights, that they heat it up, and the oil does travel differently than it normally would when they were qualifying. Look out.
Ooh, and he chops it off. That's not what he wanted. So with an open in the sixth frame, that opens the door for Bob Davidson, who's working on a strike, and if he could string a couple out here, he'd definitely work himself into an advantage.
No, there's no doubt there. That's pretty close.
Oh, and he runs it out and leaves his 7-pin.
That was probably his best shot of the game right there.
Boy.
After Matt's open, you could see the confidence build in him a little bit when he threw that shot. He threw that with a little more authority than he'd thrown the others.
Boy. And he picks up the 7-pin. That's got to be the biggest frustration. Well, maybe next to leaving the 8-pin, but that's such a frustration when you just throw it right in the pocket and leave a solid 7-pin or a 10-pin if you're right-handed.
Yeah, because you can stay in the pocket pretty much all day and leave those pretty much all day sometimes. Some days they just won't fall. And you know you're bowling good, but you just can't seem to get it out.
So, as you see, Bob Davidson up by 13 pins, and I think he'd like better than a strike on lane 21.
He's definitely feeling a little better than he did the first couple of frames.
That looked a little light, didn't it? It really came in there at the end. So
we got Matt's the one now that's got to come through. He's got to start striking now, or he's going to be in real trouble.
Bob seems to be a lot looser, I think, Jeff, than he was. Get him a frame or two.
Oh, he did. As soon as Matt opened up, you could see it change, and the last couple of shots were real strong.
No question about it.
Ooh, there's that strike again.
One thing you can do is not count him out, though. He's pretty tough. He's come from behind probably too many times that he'd like to remember.
Well, that's the mark of a competitor when they come back and can come back just exactly what he needed off that open was a strike. What he really needs is a double here to get him right back in it.
Yeah, double cuts it down to, what was it, 11, I believe, before?
And he is a deliberate, as compared to Bob Davidson, who pretty much walks up there and throws.
Yeah, Bob, he knows what he wants to do. He just gets up and does it. Matt, he's real precise. He has to get himself set the same way every time.
And there it is. And Matt liked that one.
Yeah, he threw that one pretty well. Like I say, you can't count him out. He may be down, but he'll give it all he's got.
So there's a double, and now Bob Davidson needs to get up and answer that. Well, he's working on a strike through the 7th frame, so he needs one here to keep Matt from opening the door a little more. Just a 3-pin lead now, as you see. Strike here will up that to 13 again, and he runs it out, and there it is.
Bob has definitely loosened up. He's got some confidence behind him now.
Well, it's the thing that makes this match play in bowling so exciting to watch is that it is one game and it's head-to-head, and there's not a lot of time to be experimenting. You just need to get in and throw it in the pocket.
No, that's for sure.
And he runs out another one. 3 in a row for Bob Davidson. And now the bowling shoe is on the other foot, as it were, Matt Surina.
Matt gets to finish first. He can still put the pressure on him. He's got a chance at about 225 here, I believe, and Bob's running at a 210. So if he punches out, he forces Davidson to have the first strike in the 10th.
And just watch as Matt sets up here. He put a little bowling dust on there and wiped his ball off. And he's kind of like Santa. He makes his list and checks it twice. And
that he does.
And then he rolls. And this is what he needs to strike. Ooh, right there. Boy. You can see why these fellas are both champions. They're not letting the pressure get to them. 3 in a row for Matt. That's the 9th frame strike that he needed, and now he finishes out on the left side.
Yeah, this is really the key, because the little bit of trouble he's had has been on the left side. He's hit the right lane pretty good both matches, but he's been light for his strikes on the left side, and then earlier in the game is when he went through the nose and then adjusted and went light again and didn't strike. So this...
This is the big one. He needs this one right.
He got it way out.
And it comes. Oh, just
yeah. He got that a little wide.
Oh boy. So Matt leaves the 4-pin and 10th frame. He could have used a strike there.
Yeah, he's going to have to spare this and strike, and then hope for disaster from Bob in the 10th frame.
He covers the 4-pin. So the lane 21 that had been giving him trouble this entire game continues. That was the lane he had his open frame on. Continues to be a bad omen for Matt Surina. Like you say, he needs to strike now and just hope for the best. And the way Bob has been heating up these last few frames.
He looks pretty strong. I got to give the edge to Bob for sure.
And he comes in again. There's a strike. So Matt Surina finishes with 204, and now he just has to hope for the best and sit back and...
Yeah, there's nothing more he can do. He's just got to...
It's out of his hand.
Sit there and watch.
Working on 3 in a row. Bob Davidson looking to close the match out right here.
It looks high.
Ooh, got that sleeper in there. Well, we may have an interesting...
Well, if he gets 9, we have a tie ball game. If he gets one of them, we have a tie. Have to go to extra frames here.
Extra frames.
Yeah. Spare to win, 9 to tie, and if he misses them both, then Matt sneaks in the back door.
The 2-8 pin. So you at home watching this, remember how many times you've had this and picked it up. And let's see if Bob Davidson does. He's got it. Yeah. Ooh, that's a pressure spare. 2-8.
Tough spare to have to shoot under that condition.
And that's got the victory for Bob Davidson right there. 196 through 9. A strike would give him well enough to win.
Possible 260.
I don't want to compete with this electronic scorekeeper, even though it did mess up once. And
but that's more than enough.
That's more than enough to win.
212 to 204.
Our match also being brought to you today in part by New Frontier Lanes. Under new management, features monthly 9-pin no-tab tournaments for ladies and couples, live music Wednesday and Friday and Saturday nights. And the facility is open 24 hours on Fridays and Saturdays. Enjoy happy hour 10 to 6 daily. And be watching for their upcoming card room. They've got an 8-hour happy hour there. Sign up now also for the New Year's Eve party at New Frontier Lanes, 4702 Center Street. We're happy to have them as one of our sponsors for the 24th Greater Tacoma Masters Bowling Championships. And our up next match, interesting enough, Jeff, this was exactly the same problem we had the last game, an open frame. And the open frame for Matt Surina is what cost him an opportunity.
It's true. That's, like I said earlier, it's going to be the guy that picks up those spares, because there's going to be a lot of strikes, but there's going to be some spares out there that are going to be tough to shoot.
So Matt Surina, who finished 5th last year, will finish 4th, and Bob Davidson will move on to meet Bob Bjorke in our semifinal match right after this.
After this joyride, I'm out of the crash dummy business for good.
But Vince, it's a great job. Heck, they'd have to pry me away from it.
Anybody home? Larry, they do pry you away from it.
Oh, yeah.
For years, I've been eating steering wheels. For what?
To prove how safety belts save lives.
But thousands die every year in car accidents because they don't buckle up.
Vince, we're dummies. We don't wear safety belts.
Larry, you really know how to hurt a guy. Hit it! Yeah! That's it. I'm history. End of the road.
You can't quit, Vince. No crash dummy takes out a utility pole like you do.
Larry, for years I've been proving how safety belts save lives, but nobody's listening.
Sure they are.
Yeah, that's why thousands die in car accidents every year. I feel like I'm banging my head against the wall.
Come on, Vince. Tomorrow's the big day. 2 compacts. Head on.
High speed?
Could save a life.
No, I'll be there.
Yeah.
Most people couldn't live like this.
You could learn a lot from a dummy. Buckle your safety belt.
And we're back for our semifinal match. Bob Davidson, who just defeated Matt Surina by a score of 212 to 204, to take on Bob Bjorke. And of course, Bob is another past and previous Masters tournament winner. So here we are, the final 3 bowlers of the day. Larry Fulton, who of course is our top qualifier, Bob Bjorke and Bob Davidson, all previous Masters winners. So they've all been here before.
Yeah, I think a big key to this match is whether or not Bob's going to be able to, Bjorke that is, be able to play the extreme outside line, because that's what he normally likes. And right now, Bob Davidson is full of confidence. And I think if Bjorke runs into too much trouble early, I think it could be a kind of a one-sided affair here.
And he starts out with a strike. That'll do a lot towards boosting the confidence.
Oh, yeah. That always helps to get out of the gate like that. It'll just be all, I still think, whether or not Bob can keep the ball out far enough before it makes the turn back to the pocket.
The 82 and 83 Masters winners playing. The 82 winner, Bob Davidson, up for his first shot. And there's that 7-pin.
Yeah, that's a pretty strong 7-pin. He threw that ball well. Just bad break.
Our match being brought to you today in part by Paradise Bowl. When bowling, bowl in Paradise. 36 lanes, family restaurant and lounge with live music Tuesday through Sunday. Enjoy yourself. Come to Paradise. 12505 Pacific Avenue, Paradise Bowl. Bob Davidson picks up the 7-pin. And moves over to lane 21. 2 southpaws in our 5 finalists. Of course, Larry Fulton, a 2-time Masters winner, a lefty, and Bob here. Seeing as how he had 3. Let's wait for the shot. And he's right in there for a strike. 3 right-handers so far, and Matt, Ken, and now Bob. How much of a difference does that make the lane conditions compared to what Bob Davidson is facing as being the only left-hander?
Right, since Bob Davidson just started, he's only got 1 game, and his shot shouldn't have changed too much, whereas you've had 2-3 games now by right-handers, and it could be moving the oil down the lane a little bit now with a little extra help from the lights and stuff to warm it up down there. I'm sure it's moving a little bit.
And looking for a double, Bob Bjorke, and he runs it out and has it. So he starts strong.
Yeah, Bob, actually, it looks pretty good, because when I was watching him during the finals down there, he was playing a line farther out, and maybe the spare, obviously his spare is not quite the same, because he's moved in quite a bit, and he looks pretty strong.
And he has a 10-pin lead early in our semifinal match. Right on the nose, but he kicks out the 7-pin, takes away the split. Looking for a little help maybe to knock on another pin, but he doesn't get it.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can see that might be Bob's problem out here today is that high shot like that, because if he can get him down the extreme outside edge, he's probably one of the toughest players in this area playing the outside.
Tucks his little finger underneath. Same as Matt Surina does. And, he throws it, picks it up from the outside.
Not the ideal way, but it was good enough to make it.
Adds a little excitement. Let's get down to the real fundamentals here, Jeff. You see some of the guys tuck their little finger underneath, some of them hold it out flat. What's the difference?
It's probably a twofold situation when you see that. A lot of guys use it.
Ooh.
Bobby got real fast on that shot, and that's the reason he pulled that one. But anyway, getting back to that, the tuck it gives you a little more lift on your fingers, and a lot of people, you have a small amount of space in your span, your fingers to your thumb, and a lot of people tuck it under there to take up that extra space so it feels a little more full. But usually 90% of them use it for a little extra lift on the ball.
And Bob Davidson opens up in the third frame. I think I heard them on the national telecast. That was almost a Greek church.
Correct.
Hadn't heard that name, and I heard that the other day on the television bowling on the national.
That's where you get 3 on one side and 2 on the other.
Yeah. Here's Bob Davidson now trying to get back, and he comes back with a strike. That's the way to come back. 48 in the third and a strike up in the fourth, and Bob Bjorke now coming up for his fourth frame, and he's working on a spare, and now seeing that open. It's been an open in each of our 2 previous games. It's opened the door, so let's see what this does. Heard somebody in the crowd say, "Start running." You're gonna run that one out.
He actually did throw that pretty good, but like I say, he's not getting the ball down the outside like he was at the other end of the house when they were qualifying. He's playing in a little deeper, and the ball just seems to be snapping a little more at the back end than it was for him before.
So that a strike there would have really given him the opportunity to.
Right, he could have, with a strike there and then the one the next, he could have really put that pressure on Bob. Now you're looking at Bob doubling and getting within 10 on the next shot.
And the 4-pin is covered by Bob Bjorke, 38 years old, a 6-time member of the Tacoma All-Star team, and of course the 1983 Tacoma Masters winner. So a lot of experience here today, as opposed to what we've had in some of our past telecasts the last couple of years. Last year's winner, Michael Karch, had been in the Masters before, but had never reached the finals. And this year, by the way, Michael, I talked to him prior to the telecast today, and I'll talk to you more about. He said something interesting, Jeff, and I want to ask you your thoughts on that right after this. Here's the hammer.
Look out.
Oh, there it is. Michael Karch told me today, Jeff, that he said, I was bowling pretty good. He said, I was averaging like 230 a lot of those games and still losing by 10 pins or less. And he said, that's what really killed me, is not my pin total so much as just I lost a lot of matches.
That's very true, because see, in the Peterson point system, you get that extra point for winning, which is just like 50 pins extra. So when it comes to losing, you get your pin total, and that's it. And you get that win, and you get that extra 50 bonus pins, basically, is what it amounts to. It's a point in the Peterson, but it's just like 50 pins.
And it's got to be a little demoralizing to bowl high games and still lose, you know.
Oh, sure it is. When you know you're bowling good, and you catch the wrong people at the wrong time, and they're bowling good, and their games are a little higher than yours, it can make a big difference, you bet.
19 pins down, Bob Davidson. He's got a tough spare to pick up here. Ooh, but he picks it up.
And we're getting back to the experience on this show. I'll tell you, this would make one heck of a good 5-man team to take anywhere in this country. These guys are all tough.
Well, this is one of, like you said earlier, Jeff, I think it's one of the strongest fields ever. This goes back to your Anthony Crick finals of the late 60s. There's no doubt about it.
This is very comparable. These guys are all great bowlers.
The only thing missing is you, I guess.
I didn't bowl so great, though.
Bob's still having trouble finding the pocket.
Yeah, I think he's just getting a little too fast. He's anxious. He wants to catch up, and I think he's just too fast with everything right now. He's just not giving the ball enough chance to make the turn back like he did when he finished that last game.
This is such an important time in the game, too, Jeff, when you can really help yourself out for the end of it, because he's facing a situation here where if he could strike, he could really help out, but if he doesn't strike, he could possibly get way behind. Real tough. Ooh, and that really hurts. He chops the 5.
Yeah, that puts Bob Bjorke in a great spot. Now, if he could catch a double here and maybe the third one, he would put Bob Davidson pretty close to out of reach.
That's a second open for Bob Davidson in the first 6 frames, and now Bob Bjorke knows what he needs to do. We'll see if he does it. Right there. Ooh, there it is. A 10-pin. Boy. Hasn't been as bad as it was last year when it seemed like everybody was leaving 10 pins. But I tell you, we've seen a lot of them today again, too.
Yeah, there's been quite a few. And like Bob, I'm surprised that he did move in from where he was before, and he's found himself a pretty comfortable spot, it looks like. It's just a matter of execution from here.
Important spare because he is on a strike, so he wants that pin count.
Look out.
Ooh, boy. A little extra coat of wax on that pin helped out, I think. He's smiling about that. He's smiling, but he's also going,
You bet. That was important because if he opens there, that leaves the opening for Bob. Now he's still got a pretty good hold on him.
It'll make your heart flutter a little bit. 33-pin lead. He wants a strike here so he can just sit down.
He's got Bob in a bad situation. Bob's got to start striking from here out to have a chance.
And, there it is. All right. Bob Bjorke kind of shakes his head.
He almost left a pretty tough one to compensate for. That one would have hurt inside, as he knew he threw the ball real good.
Okay, you outlined what Bob Davidson has to do, and of course it's easy for us sitting up here to talk about it, but he needs to strike.
He has to start striking now. He doesn't have any room left.
And there's the first one. Our telecast also being brought to you today by Secoma Lanes, the host lanes for the 24th Annual Tacoma Masters, a beautiful 32-lane center in Federal Way featuring AMF AccuScore, AccuTrack, and a complete pro shop. And every Saturday at 2 p.m. is a 9-pin no-tap tournament. Delicious omelets and daily lunch specials are served in our garden atmosphere restaurant, and you can relax in the lounge with big screen TV like we were prior to our telecast today.
Watching a few of those football games.
Secoma Lanes, 34500 Pacific Highway South. There's that 7-pin again.
Yeah, it was a pretty good shot by Bob. Just didn't quite finish as strong as the last shot.
Yeah, he really could have used a double there. You can kind of see some of the air gone out of Bob.
Yeah, he needed that one. He's pretty close to shutout now. It's still mathematically possible, but chances are slim.
And he picks up the 7-pin, giving him 114 through the 7th on a spare. Bob Bjorke, meanwhile, on a strike in the 7th. He's up for the 8th frame, and he can pretty well close the door here with a couple more. Or at least make it real interesting. Or difficult, we should say.
It's a pretty good shot.
And there it is, and it kicks out the 10-pin.
That pretty much closes the door right there.
On a double.
Well, Bob's been bowling out there well, I think, this year, Jeff. He won one of the spots in the Open, and especially lately, he's been coming on quite strong.
Yeah, he bowled real well over at Narrows for the U.S. Open qualifying, so he'll be in there with all the big names.
How many local bowlers do we have in that?
We have 4 so far.
Wow, that's good. That'll be an interesting tournament to go watch in person.
Oh, you
Talk
bet.
about pressure. There's that little finger tucked underneath. And this is the big one, and he's got it. Picks up the 10 again.
That's our winner right there. It's early, but that's him.
3-bagger for Bob Bjorke. It looks like we're going to have Bob Bjorke and Larry Fulton in the final. Bob Davidson, and high again. Oh! Just about kicks that 7. He moved it quite a bit. I wonder if he moved it enough off the spot. No?
It's everybody oohs on that, but Bob was kind of dejected on that shot. He didn't put all he had into that one. He just kind of trying to finish out and get out of the way, basically.
Ooh, but he gives it a good effort. Our telecast also being brought to you in part today by Sports World and SRO Family Recreation Center with 44 lanes, 4 racquetball courts, video arcade, and banquet accommodations for private parties up to 300 people. Jeff can have all his relatives over for a victory celebration. Visit Sports World Bar and Grill and complete with big screen TV. Join the fun of Colorama Bowling Saturdays at 9 p.m. at Sports World, 27403 Pacific Highway South. And there's a strike for Bob Davidson, a little bit late, but...
Yeah, they always seem to come a little easier toward the end like that when you're out of them.
Once the pressure's off, that's sure. So his fourth time as a finalist, and Bob Davidson will finish just as he qualified. Number 3. And another strike for him. Well, our number 1 and number 2 qualifiers will meet for the championship. So I guess if you're mathematically inclined, maybe that's how it should be.
Yeah, I'm sure Bob's feeling that way.
Yeah, right.
Qualifies, at least I should have a chance to win it.
That's right. So there it is, Bob Davidson finishing with a double and an 8 count for a final score of 168, and that's been the first score under 200 that we've had today. And I don't think a score of under 200 is going to win many. The way these guys are with this talent level we have.
That's true. With the group we've got out here, you can pretty safely say that you wouldn't win with under 200.
So Bob Bjorke will finish out in the 10th frame here, working on 3 in a row. So he's just bowling for score now, and to try to make sure he keeps his line good for the.
That's exactly what he's doing. He wants to make sure he keeps everything right in. Goes through all the same motions just so he doesn't lose anything before the start of the next match.
And he's got a 10-pin to pick up. Our telecast today also brought to you by Tower Lanes. Bowl anytime. Restaurant and lanes are open around the clock. Excellent food at Tower Inn, reasonable breakfast specials, and a friendly staff. Tower Lanes will be hosting the men's team event for the nation's second oldest bowling tournament, the NIBC event, May 2nd through May 25th. Entry blanks are available at all local bowling centers. Tower Lanes, 6223 6th Avenue. And Bob Bjorke missed the 10-pin. But it doesn't matter. He rolls 214 and rolls on to victory. And once again, now as it usually is, Jeff, open frames are the thing that hurt. We have Bob Davidson opens up in the 3rd, then he opened up again in the 6th frame, and that opened in the 6th. It was all over.
Yeah, that's the one that put him out of it pretty much.
And that stringing 3 in a row there in the middle part of the game by Bob Bjorke helped him out a lot, too. So it'll be the 1983 winner, Bob Bjorke, against 2-time champion Larry Fulton for the 1986 24th Annual Tacoma Masters Championship. And we'll get to that game right after this.
Wishing you and your family the warmest season's greetings from Tacoma Public Utilities, where we're helping our customers with free winterizing tips. For a free brochure, call 383-2471.
This is Mayor Al Kiesel and my wife, Jo. We would like to take this opportunity to wish everyone in Eatonville and the surrounding area a very Merry Christmas and a happy and prosperous New Year. Thank you very kindly.
There's just one place you need to go for all the names and games making sports news. ESPN Sports Center. 3 times every day, Chris Berman and Gail Gardner bring you the latest scores, the hottest trades, and the top plays from the world of sports. Sports Center takes you on the road with live remotes from major events like the World Series and the Indy 500. Sports Center, your total source for sports, only on the Total Sports Network, ESPN.
Dr. John Westbrook has the experience to be on a top medical team at any major hospital. He's made his practice with the Navy. Bill Lyons can have any engine back in working order in no time at all. But don't look for him in the yellow pages. He's working in the Navy. Pilots with the right stuff to fly for any airline. They'd rather fly for the Navy. A machinist who'd be a top man in any shop. An instructor. An engineer. An electronics technician. Pick any field, and you'll find that some of the best people in that field are working in today's Navy. In computer technology, electronics, engineering, aviation. Navy-trained men and women have the experience to work anywhere. But believe being the best means more when it's done for their country. Navy know-how. It's working for America.
And we are ready for the final match of the day, the numbers 1 and 2 qualifiers. Larry Fulton and Bob Bjorke. They'll play for the 24th Annual Tacoma Masters Championship. There's Larry on your right, Bob, of course, on your left. And Larry Fulton, a two-time winner in 1977 and 79, will be up first. He's been sitting around watching all his guys. What do you think he's had going through his mind?
Well, obviously he's watching because he's got Bob Bjorke finishing on the left lane, which was the trouble lane for all the right-handers today. So he's been taking notes anyway while he was over there.
And Larry Fulton starts out with an 8 count.
It looks like Larry must be having some wrist trouble because he normally doesn't wear any kind of wrist supports, and I saw him playing with his wrist a little bit, so he might be a little hurt today. I don't know. He never mentioned anything earlier when I was talking to him.
All right. And he's shooting 610, and he picks it up. So he starts out with a spare. Larry's had kind of a hot week. Friday night he shot 792 in the Tacoma All-Star Travel League. And he did pretty good on Saturday too, and he won 14 and a half of his 20 match play games. That shot him into the lead on the Peterson points, where he has remained through the final qualifying rounds this morning, earlier today. And here's Bob Bjorke, the winner of our semifinal match.
That's a pretty good shot.
And he's got it.
He starts strong.
Bob, go ahead.
I was going to say, getting back to those Peterson point, the wins, to tell you how important they really are, because Larry did end up with the most wins. He was 21-11 overall, and for those 21 wins, he gets that extra 50 pins each time, so that adds up in a hurry.
Bob Bjorke shot 214 to win the semifinal match. You think that'll be enough?
No, I don't think so, but I think he's going to shoot a little more. I think he's built himself up some confidence. I think the 10 pin he missed at the end was just because it was all over.
Yeah.
I think he's pretty well lined in now.
And, a little high. So that's the lane that you said had been giving him.
Yeah, that's it seems to be all the right-handers have had a little bit of trouble in that left lane today.
As we enter in the final match here, not to bring this up again, but both Mike and Jeff predicted Larry Fulton to be the winner. I, of course, have predicted also, but only to myself, so I'm going to come out smelling real good on this no matter what. 4-pin. Ooh.
Look out.
Ooh. Boy. He's had a couple of close calls there.
That he has. That comes back to what we were saying earlier, that spares are all important in these short one-game matches. You've got to pick up the spares.
Larry Fulton. He's been a finalist 12 times.
Yeah, he's one of the premier bowlers in the Northwest. He really is. He started a little slow. Another fine shot by him. He started a little slow this year, but he's been bowling real well for the last month. And like the 792 last Friday, that's an indication. He shot 300 the weekend before in the qualifying of this event. And he's just one of the all-around bowlers. I always give him a bad time. He has a tendency not to get all the pins off the deck when he strikes. So we got an ongoing battle when I harass him a little.
I'll tell you, Larry has to bowl good to beat his wife.
That's for sure.
Nadine. All she did was shoot 782 a little earlier this week. There's a double up for Larry Fulton.
Yeah, there's no doubt she's one of the top ladies in the area, too.
She broke the all-time series for women with that 782 for the Tacoma area women.
It's a bunch of pins.
Oh, boy.
She had an excellent shot. She missed a 7-pinner. She had an 800.
Oh, wow. See, I bet he doesn't want to bowl her to see who does the dishes then.
It'd be a tough match.
Here's Bob Bjorke. Man,
good shot by that.
Coming back from that spare with another strike. And we could have a horse race here. These guys look like they're both confident and both locked in on the pocket pretty well.
Well, they both know their own abilities. They know they can do it. It's just a matter of execution. And actually, I think the left lane is going to decide whether Bob stays in the match or not, to me.
Here is he's on the left lane now that Jeff's talking about.
He's taking a little more time, studying a little more. He knows he's close, but he's just hasn't got quite the same shot on the left line.
Ooh, and there it is.
Obviously made the right move. It's a good shot.
All right. These guys keep striking like this. It could be a quick match.
Yeah, really.
So a double for Bob Bjorke through 4 frames, and working on a double, here comes Larry Fulton for his 4th frame. And that's a little high, but he breaks it up.
Good shot. One thing about Larry, he does have that good speed control. He's, the crooked elbow that he's got helps him so he can't force the ball too many times. He's always got that same even speed, and it's easier for him to adjust than a guy that has a tendency to slow down or speed up a lot.
Well, there's been no question on his strikes either. I mean, they're all in a hurry to get down.
Hey, he's not going to let me live that down if he puts them all in the pit every time during this game.
There it is again. So that's 4 in a row for Larry Fulton. And Bob Bjorke's got to be wondering what he's going to have to do here. Obviously 2 more strikes.
Yeah, he knows he's going to have to keep striking because Larry looks pretty solid right now. And Larry's been there so many times that I don't believe he'll falter too much. He may not carry a strike or two, but he'll be right there most of the rest of the way.
20 pins down, Bob Bjorke coming up for the 5th frame. And there it is. Yeah. Bob kind of shakes his head and looks at Larry, but they're all falling down. So far, each game, the key has been an open frame. That's opened the door. So that might be the thing to look for here, although these guys seem pretty well locked in on the pocket.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to predict any open frames in this match.
That cuts the deficit down to 10 pins. Again, I think you're right, Jeff. He does seem to have found the range on that left-hand lane.
Yeah, it looked like he was studying it after that first high shot in the second. Then he went back and it looked like he made a little move, and it's obviously paid off real well. Just looks like he went a little deeper, ball down the lane a little better.
So working on 4 in a row, Larry Fulton. Ooh, a little up on the nose that time. A little bit high.
Yeah, he knew that just about when he let go of it. He was a little out of time, and just ended up pulling the ball across in front of him. Didn't get the ball out on the lane.
So here's a big spare for him to pick up now. And he covers it. So Larry Fulton threw a spare up in the 6th frame, 127 through 5. And now Bob Bjorke working on 4 now, so.
Yeah, this could take a big swing here with the next one. Learn from Bob Bjorke.
Of course, the big thing here is to come back and get that strike up.
Yeah, if he gets this one, he'll still make Bob think, because Bob's obviously only got a 3-pin lead at the moment, and then he could leave a 10 or a 4-pin at any given time.
High on the nose again.
He got away with that one.
Looks like he slowed down a little bit.
He did. He really was. He was a lot slower on that shot than he was on any of his good strike balls.
So the 4-pin stands for Larry Fulton, and he uses a different ball to pick up his spares.
Yeah, it's a little harder surface ball to get the ball to go a little straighter and easier to get down the lane than something that hooks a little more.
So 2 spares for Larry Fulton, and now Bob Bjorke with a 4-bagger up can really run out his lead a little bit here with a couple more. And that's what he's thinking about.
Yeah, he definitely wants to put the pressure on Larry right here.
4-pin lead.
And he's also on his good lane, so I like his chances.
And there it is. Larry Fulton can only sit and look.
Yeah, that's the tough part about it, when you got to sit back and just watch what's happening. That's why I see a lot of guys on tour that duck their heads, turn around, hide themselves, anything not to watch the opponent throw his ball.
Yeah, Bob Little, one of our finalists last year, he would turn the other way when his opponent was bowling.
Well, Bob Davidson was doing the same thing out here today. He was looking at the floor all the time.
Sometimes people have a tendency to let that filter into their thinking pattern, and it has a tendency to follow them up.
5 in a row. Going for 6. He's a little light, but he kicks out the 7th pin. Bob Bjorke. Bob's shaking his head, but he'll take it. They put an X down there, no matter how they fall down.
Definitely puts some pressure on Larry now.
So stringing out 6 in a row, Larry Fulton knows what he has to do. Four pins down. He has to start right with his ball. Pretty close. There it is. He's not going to go down without a few strikes.
No. He's you can bet he's going to be back in there.
It's interesting to see how many of these bowlers, one of their favorite hobbies is golf. And I think the two do have a lot in common. There's, like you said, there's nothing he can do but sit there and watch Bob when he's bowling. And it's similar to golf. You can shoot your best score, but there's no defense involved. You can only hope that you shoot a little bit better than the other guy.
That's true. It's all offense.
Individual games. Here's another one right here. He's got it. Well, a double for Larry Fulton. And that's the setup frame, the 9th frame there. So Bob Bjorke knows that he can't let up.
No, but he also knows he can shut Larry out. He's finishing first, and he can shut Larry out. Larry can go out for possible 256, and obviously Bob can go all the way for 280. But he's already on a 240 pace.
14 pins up. This is the strike he needs right here. Working on 6 in a row, and he's hot.
He pulled that one back. He just kind of stood up and pulled right through that one and just pulled it right into the middle of the lane.
It's interesting. I keep going back to this, but as they have the automatic score here, they also have somebody sitting over on the side who checks to make sure that automatic score is correct.
So you got to make sure the machine doesn't make a mistake.
That's right. But we're not ready to be replaced yet. So here's Bob Bjorke. What's it? 3-6-10. Of course, he obviously needs this. And he's got it. So he will finish on the left side, the side that had been giving him trouble, although it looks like he found the answer to the solution to the problem with that. He's got an 11-pin lead.
Right, this is a tougher lane, but he needs, if he gets all 3 strikes, he shuts Larry out by a pin.
Ooh.
So he's going to be working, you can bet on that.
So it makes bowling so great. So many times it comes down to the last frame.
Yeah, this is a real good final match. You got 2 of the best in town going heads at it.
Ooh, on the nose, and he leaves it open. Oh, boy. Larry Fulton blinks and says, I'm still in it. Bob Bjorke looks and says, up. Well,
now this is pretty interesting here because he needs to get at least 9 for 233 to force Larry to have a decent count with this spare. If he goes from all and misses them, it gives Larry a big cushion to play with.
And he goes for, and he only picks up 1 pin. So Bob Bjorke opens the door. Once again, it's the open frame that opens the door. It has been in every match.
Left lane again.
Yeah, the left lane. So some smart psychology by Larry Fulton and having Bob finish on it.
You bet. When it comes down to that last frame you need, then you want him on his toughest lane. It's pretty close.
Ooh.
And a tough spare.
A sleeper.
Larry obviously has to have the spare and 9
to win.
In order to win.
The 3-9. So both bowlers with an opportunity to close the door, and neither one of them seem to get their hand on the handle there.
It comes down to that last shot's pretty tough sometimes.
And this one you have to be real careful with, or you'll kick off the 3 and leave the 9.
That's true.
He did it. Boy. So there's your match. 222. Larry Fulton looked like he had the win. But an open in the 10th frame leaves the door open, and Bob Bjorke comes back to win. It's interesting. Both bowlers having opened in the 10th frame, right when they had a chance to close the door.
That's that little extra adrenaline, I think. Larry came in light. He hasn't been light, and it's the first time in the game he's light, and he ends up leaving the 3-9, and which is obviously a tough spare.
Both bowlers stringing out the strikes there, too. Fulton starting out the 2nd frame with he got a 4-bagger there, and starting in the 3rd frame for Bob Bjorke, he strung out 6 in a row, and you really thought that they were going to shoot some high scores.
Oh, yeah, it looked like it was definitely going to be a real high-scoring match. It's still 232 to 222 is not a bad match.
No, I think most of us would take
tough.
Well, the 24th Masters Championship is history, Jeff, and quite a surprise the way this one finished out.
Oh, you bet, dude. It's an amazing feat. You don't usually see the two bowlers of that caliber open in the 10th frame. It just doesn't happen.
Looked like Bob opened the door for Larry, and then Larry couldn't close it.
Yeah, I had already chalked it up. As soon as I saw Bob throw that split, I said, well, Larry's in the driver's seat. He didn't have anything to worry about. And then threw a bad shot and ultimately missed a spare, and that's the way it went.
It's one of the great things about bowling, though, isn't it?
Oh, it is. You never know until the last ball's thrown.
Some high scores this week. As a matter of fact, in our final games today, there was only one score under 200.
Right. The scores are pretty good. It all came down to the open frames, and we talked about that while we were doing the show and stuff, and it always a split or open always hurts you, and it turned out that was the final results of all the games. It was all managed to be open frames.
Well, we had games of 200 or better here today, but we did have a couple of 300 games in our qualifying throughout the week. I want to bring up Rocky Rockwell. Rocky is the owner of Secoma Lanes. He's got a couple of special presentations that we want to make. And Rocky, congratulations on a great tournament.
Thank you, and we were proud to have hosted the Master Tournament this year. We were happy with the scores, and of course the two of the fellows that rolled the 300s, which is every bowler's dream, why we'd like to present them a check.
Okay, let's have our first 300 winner. Who is it?
Randy Gala.
Randy Gala. Randy, come on up. Congratulations.
Randy, on behalf of your first 300, why we'd like to present you this check.
Thank you. Congratulations, Randy. Way to go. 300. That is the ultimate. Okay, Rocky. We've got another 300 winner.
And for Larry Fulton, of course, it isn't his first 300. It's his 5th 300. But as he says, it's always a thrill.
Sure. And you'll take the money, right, Larry?
You bet. I only wish, my only regret is that I didn't save that 300 game for the final match on TV.
Okay, Larry, congratulations. We'll see more of Larry in just a minute. Rocky, again, congratulations on a great tournament.
Thank you.
For the second year now, we've had the Seniors Masters this year, and I want to bring up the chairman of the Masters Tournament Committee, Jerry Ledbetter, at this time, and he's going to present the check to our Seniors winner for this year's event. Jerry, come on up. Again, this year, this is the second year for the Seniors Tournament. It's getting bigger and better.
Yes, it is. We had 5 more entries than we had last year, and I think it's getting some interest and bowled really well today, and we hope to build it up even more next year in years to come.
Another close match for the winner, too, wasn't it?
Oh, tremendously close, 189 to 188. And it was, again, open frame in the 10th, and someone capitalized and made a tough spare, and it was a close match, real exciting.
Let's meet the winner.
Okay. The winner this year is an old friend of mine and a past member of our board of directors, Chuck Gunther.
An old friend, but not too old. Come on up, Chuck. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. It was a wonderful tournament. My first shot at the seniors. I just became old enough and hope to be back for many more of them.
That doesn't mean that you won't be trying for the regular men's championship.
Those guys are too tough for me. I'm getting too old for that.
Okay, congratulations to our senior winner. All right, now we've got something for you, and that is our 5 finalists, all who bowled really well today, but only one, of course, can win. Let's meet our 5 finalists right now. And, Jerry, let's have you run down our 5th place finisher, first of all.
5th place is Ken Darwin. He was our leading qualifier after the first weekend, and he bowled really well all weekend, and, again, bowled well during his TV match, but really got out-bowled a lot by Matt Surina, who had a tremendous game. But he bowled great all week, and like I said, a leading qualifier, and been bowling good all year everywhere. Ken Darwin.
All right, Ken. Ken, congratulations. Your first time here. You did a good job.
Yeah. Well, this is the second time I bowled, but it's the first time I made the finals here.
All right. Good luck.
Thank you.
Ken Darwin, our 5th place finisher for today's Masters tournament. And let's meet the 4th place finisher, Jerry.
4th is a well-known bowler, a 3-time PBA finalist and titleist, and again made the finals last year and made TV show last year and finished 4th this year. Bowled great again all weekend. Ran into a buzzsaw in this second match today, and Matt Surina.
All right, Matt Surina, congratulations. Matt, you were 5th place last year, so you're moving up a spot.
Yeah, hopefully next year I can qualify and make at least 3rd place.
Okay, Matt Surina, our 4th place finisher. Congratulations. You want to give him the check?
Want to give him a check? Well, let's see. Wants to give it to me. That's fine. I'll take it.
I'd also like to thank everybody here at Secoma for hosting the tournament, and all the fans here for showing up and rooting us on. Thanks a lot.
Matt Surina, our 4th place finisher today. And our number 3 place finisher.
3rd this year is Bob Davidson, and Bob is a past champion of the tournament, and had one good game and had a little trouble with the second match against Bob, but again, they all bowled well all weekend, and it was exciting matches, and so 3rd place finish is Bob Davidson.
All right, Bob, congratulations to you. 3rd place isn't a win, but it's not too bad.
Yeah, it's good enough. Close to Christmas, so I can get some Christmas presents now. Bye.
Okay, way to go. Bob Davidson, our 3rd place finisher for today. Now let's meet our runner-up. This is a pretty good, exciting championship match, and it did come down to the 10th frame, as Jeff and I were saying, and Larry Fulton just couldn't close the door.
It was close. Larry Fulton, of course, is 2-time Masters titleist, and just had a tough shot and we thought made a good shot. When I looked at it, and I thought he threw it good, and it came up a little light, and then he had a tough time on a tough spare and finished 2nd. But he's been bowling great for the last 5 or 6 weeks, and tough loss, but he'll be back next year, I'm sure.
Congratulations, Larry.
Thank you very much. I would also like to thank Secoma, Rocky, and his staff. They did a wonderful job here, and the GTBA puts on a wonderful tournament, and I'm proud to be a part of it.
Okay, good luck. Hope to see you back next year. Larry Fulton, our runner-up. And now we want to bring up our champion for this year's Masters tournament. And it's not his first victory either. It's his 2nd time as a Masters champion. Let's bring up our champion for the 24th annual Tacoma Masters, Bob Bjorke. Bob, come on up. Why don't you come on right in between Jeff and I? We just want to ask you a couple of quick questions.
Sure enough.
What did you think when you opened up in the 10th frame?
Oh, I thought it was over. You know, all Larry has to do is get, good count and spare. And I figured, well, that's it. And then I went back and sat down, looked at the score sheet. Well, he needs good count and a spare. And as it turned out, the pressure got to him just like me, I guess. And fortunately for me, he ran by that spare, or only got 9.
He had you finishing on the left lane. The lane had been giving you a little trouble earlier. Was that in your mind at all as you went up there to finish? Of course, you looked like you'd figured it out halfway through the game.
Yeah, I just made a little mistake there. I set the ball a little shorter than I wanted to. And, of course, that lane was hooking more, and it went high.
All right. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We have a little presentation we want to make now. Bill Stroll, the president of the Greater Tacoma Bowlers Association. Bill?
Congratulations, Bob. I'm sure you're going to make a good representative of ours back at the Masters in Niagara Falls this year. And what do you want your choice, the trophy or the check?
How about both? How about both?
Okay, Bob. Congratulations again, and I'm sure you're going to make a good representation from Tacoma, and we're all proud of you.
Thank you.
Very good.
He can hold the trophy and shake hands at the same time. That's great. Come on in here, gentlemen, and we'll kind of tighten up. So here you have it. Bob Bjorke, our winner of the 24th Annual Greater Tacoma Masters Bowling Championship. And from Secoma Lanes, another great tournament. Thank you for watching this afternoon, and that'll do it. Once again, Bob Bjorke, the winner of the 24th Annual Greater Tacoma Masters Bowling Championship. So long, everybody, and thanks for watching today.